The Romans first arrived in Britain under Caesar, and the subsequent invasions led to an occupation which lasted until the 4th century, nearly 400 years of Roman rule. Under pressure from warring tribes and attacked from all sides, the Roman state was collapsing. Years of corruption and mismanagement had resulted in a frail economy, an understrength army, and a lack of Roman values was prevalent throughout the empire. Rome was near collapse. Britain was a strategic and economic base for Rome, a breadbasket. It also provided precious metals and timber. As a result, the Romans had maintained a strong military presence in Britain. With the situation worsening back in Rome, the Romans' elite legions were eventually withdrawn from Britain. In an unprecedented series of world events, the European continent was plunged into a dark age of war, famine, and death. Hundreds of thousands of Germanic and steppe hordes rampaged through Europe, burning and ravaging cities the Romans had built. The reason for this huge migration is not entirely known. However, there are signs that due to changing climate conditions, the crop yields fell, and some data suggests that the sun itself might have even been blacked out for years, which caused the collapse of society in many places. As Rome abandoned Britain, the wolves descended. Britain's defences were left to the leadership of local chieftains and some remaining legionnaires. Out of the chaos emerged several leaders who would attempt to fight off the invaders and forge a new destiny for Britain. This will be a summary of the events surrounding these great leaders. Their first leader that emerged to rule Britain was Magnus Maximus. Magnus Maximus ruled Britain between 383 and 388 AD. He was an emperor of Britain, Gaul, and Spain. Magnus Maximus was born into a noble family in northwest Spain. He was a nephew of Count Theodosius the Elder, the father of Emperor Theodosius I. As part of a military family, Maximus was raised to be a soldier and a commander. He grew to be a skilled tactician, achieving the rank of general. He served in a number of campaigns under Elder Theodosius throughout the empire. Maximus is believed to have held a junior command somewhere in Britain around 368. In the 360s, the area north of Hadrian's Wall was under great pressure from the Picts. In late 367, a conspiracy occurred where the Roman garrison at Hadrian's Wall in northern Britain rebelled and allowed a confederation of tribes to enter imperial territory. This led to the looting of settlements, the population was killed and enslaved. Unfortunately, Roman leadership was busy on other campaigns against the Alemanni, a Germanic confederation. The contingent was sent to quell the threat in Britain. In 368, Maximus played an important role in helping Theodosius fight off the invaders and regaining lost territory in Britain. This would have given him experience and would have also have made him popular with the local people. The invaders were laden with prisoners and spoils. The Roman force divided and then attacked. They crushed the Pictish force. Maximus later distinguished himself as a general under Theodosius in campaigns in Africa around 373 and also on the Danube in 376. In 383, some years later, Maximus declared himself emperor and crossed over the Channel to Gaul with his army. During his invasion of Italy, he lost in a battle to Emperor Theodosius and he fled. Unfortunately, Maximus was caught and later executed. There was then an interperiod where Rome regained control over Britain. Emperor Theodosius I ruled Britain until 392, when another usurper, Eugenius, successfully bid for imperial power in the Western Roman Empire. Emperor Eugenius survived until 394, when he was finally defeated and killed by Theodosius. When Theodosius died in 395, his 10-year-old son, Honorius, succeeded him as Western Roman Emperor. Britain was suffering raids by the Scotti, the Saxons, and the Picts. Sometime between 396 and 398, Stilicho, father-in-law of Honorius, allegedly ordered a campaign in Britain against the Picts. This would be the last Roman campaign in Britain of which there is any record. In 401 or 402, Stilicho faced wars with the Visigothic King Alaric of the Ostrogoths. Needing military manpower, he stripped Hadrian's Wall of its remaining troops for the final time. Invasions by the Picts and incursions into Wales suggest that there was either no more Roman legion presence in Britain, or Romans could not afford to pay the soldiers. Some of the Roman army might have settled down and joined local communities in Britain. The next ruler to come along would be Constantine III. Constantine was a Roman general who declared himself Western Roman Emperor in Britannia in 407. Not much is known, however there is some speculation that he may have been a son of Maximus. Constantine rose to power during a bloody struggle in Roman Britain, where there were 2 other claimants. Once the other claimants were killed, Constantine was acclaimed emperor by his army in 407. Repeating the strategy of his predecessor Maximus, he crossed over to Gaul, taking his veteran army and some remnant legionnaires with him from Britain, stripping Britain once again of their defences. Constantine confronted various Germanic invaders who had crossed the Rhine into Gaul the previous winter. Constantine's forces won several confrontations with the Vandals and quickly secured the line of the Rhine. This was essential to the defense of Rome. He then conquered and controlled all of Gaul. He then made his capital at a city called Arles in southern Gaul. Emperor Honorius then fought with the invading British usurper. However, Constantine gained the upper hand, and after several battles with the forces of the Western Roman Emperor, Honorius recognized Constantine as a co-emperor in 409. Around 410, it is said that the local nobility in Britain appealed to Honorius for help, but help was declined, and Honorius advised the Britons to defend themselves. Vandal tribes then overran Constantine's Rhine defences and burned and plundered their way through Gaul. They sieged Constantine at his capital. While Constantine held the defence, a new general under Honorius marches to Arles and defeats the Vandal army. But instead of helping Constantine, he then continues the siege, and after several military setbacks, Constantine was captured and executed in 411. Vortigern. Vortigern was either a title or a name. There is much negativity surrounding Vortigern. Several sources in medieval literature mention him, and not much is known of his personal information or where he was from. He is most well known for his exploits. Britain was still suffering from attacks by the Picts in the north, and Britain sent for help again to Rome in the 440s. However, Rome was preoccupied and did not help. Vortigern appears in the late 440s. He then invites 3 shiploads of Saxons to help with the incursions by the Picts and the other invaders. These mercenaries, realizing the weakness of Britain and their chieftains, turned against their employers in an opportunistic manner. This led to the fleeing of many Britons from eastern England. The leaders of the Saxons were called Hengist and Horsa. According to the sources, Hengist had tricked Vortigern into marrying his daughter, and then used this to persuade Vortigern to give him land, which could be used then to settle more Saxons in eastern Britain. Vortigern's son Vortimer resists the Saxons and fought against them bravely, fighting 4 major battles against the Saxons and even losing his own brother in battle. He even managed to kill Horsa. Shortly after, however, Vortigern died before he could completely expel the Saxons. Hengist then summoned a peace conference where all the rulers of Britain gathered. Hengist and his men then descended upon them and slew them all, except for Vortigern. He then imprisoned him and forced him to cede more land to the Saxons. Ambrosius Aurelianus. He was known as the last of the Romans. He has unsure origins, but he is said to have been the brother of Uther Pendragon, or even the second son of Constantine. He also possibly had a claim on the British throne. As it is written, his parents wore the purple. He was also a Christian. He was said to have been born in Brittany. Eventually, he crossed into Britain and defeated Vortigern. Vortigern is said to have died in miserable circumstances. He died landless and was viewed negatively by all his people. Ambrosius then warred successfully against the Saxons, and in 488 he finally slew their leader, Hengist. He then fought the other rulers of Britain, and at some point had dominion over a large amount of land. He fought in the siege of Badon Hill, a victory against the Saxons that delivered peace to Britain for half a century. King Arthur was said to have fought at Badon Hill. Whether Ambrosius was King Arthur, or whether King Arthur fought alongside Ambrosius, is a possible topic for a future video. Ambrosius' efforts, however, would be in vain. Although he had defeated the Saxons, they would return and forever change the land of Britain. The Britons would eventually be pushed further and further west, until eventually making their homes in the mountains of Wales. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, please like and subscribe.